is one of the largest cooperatives in the world. It's the 7th largest in Spain. It develops internationally, and it currently employs 75,000 workers. Is that correct, Ander?
81.
81. It's grown more. Okay. And I must admit, I've had the pleasure to encounter some of your colleagues in different networks in which SMART is a member as well, such as CICOPA, and also ESET, which is the International Cooperative Entrepreneurship Think Tank, and with whom I've been able to work with your colleague Inigo Albizurri-Lantabasaba. Sorry. So SMART in Mondragon, we are very different, but on the same time we have some commonalities. We're different types of cooperatives, we have different types of memberships, but we also, different size of course, but on the other side we're both worker-owned cooperatives, we are considered as big, and we have an international activity, which is not that common actually in the cooperative world. And these characteristics actually provide some specific challenges to the cooperatives that we would like to tackle today with you and to learn more from your experience. And some of the challenges that we've identified is, how do you keep democracy alive? How do you stimulate the participation of members when you grow? How do you keep a cooperative identity and focus on the community? And so those are all questions that we'll be tackling today. I must admit that in the case of SMART, there's also another challenge, which is the fact that we've become a cooperative later in our history. We weren't born as a cooperative, at least in Belgium, and we became a cooperative quite late in our history. We already had 15 years of existence, tens of thousands of members. And so we're still implementing this cooperative functioning. We're still experimenting on how to make this happen at best. And being a cooperative, as you will probably tackle as well, is not a given. It's something that you have to nurture. It's a process. And this is what we'll be talking about. And another thing that we'd like to tackle with you, but I'll come back question by question, it's been a very difficult year for many of us, right? And over the years, it's been, I mean, the COVID has been impacting a lot of our members. It has been impacting how we function, and it has a specific impact for bigger cooperatives, I believe, especially with different international backgrounds. So let's start with the first question, if you agree, Ander. Could you first explain a little bit more about Mondragon, its purpose, its history, its values, its practice as an organization, so that we can understand a little bit better your perspective?
Yes, we are 81,000 workers. We are 96 cooperatives, and cooperatives are in the Basque Country. In the Basque Country, there are more or less 2,000 cooperatives. We are only 96. And then we have 141 subsidiaries around the world, in China, in France, in the United States, in Brazil. These companies outside the Basque Country are not cooperatives. And we also have 23 umbrella companies to support the corporation. So we are 260 companies. One of the cooperatives is Mondragon Headquarters. I am worker member of this cooperative. Do you know how many people are we working at the headquarters to serve the group, the corporation, to serve 81,000 colleagues? We are only 60 people at the headquarters. Why only 60 people? Because cooperatives are autonomous. We are a group of companies that are friends, and they are together because they want, because they think that they have a better present and they are going to have a better future. But if there is a cooperative that is not happy in the group, the cooperative can leave the group. We are autonomous cooperatives. And our cooperatives, it doesn't matter if they are industrial, credit cooperative, consumer cooperative, a technological research center, a school, a university, they are cooperatives, worker-owned. And, well, relatively, they are quite big. Our industrial cooperatives are, on average, 250 people. In the Basque Country, the average size of the cooperatives is less than 10. And in our case, our cooperatives more than, or on average, they are 250 people. And all of them are worker-owned. That means that if I'm a member of my cooperative, I'm proprietor of my cooperative, and I work in my cooperative. It has no sense to be part of another cooperative. I'm working in my cooperative 8 hours or 9 hours, and I'm the proprietor of my cooperative. Me and my colleagues are the proprietors of the cooperative. Proprietor of the cooperative is not the government, is not a third part, it's not Mondragon. Worker members of this cooperative are the owners of this cooperative. And the mission of our cooperatives, the mission of Mondragon, is to do a better society, to improve the society. And we think that there is a realistic, a practice, a possible way to improve the society, and is to create jobs, to create good quality jobs. This is what we are doing, and this is what we want to continue doing in 5 years, in 50 years, in 100 years.
And it's one of the oldest, it's a long history of Mondragon. Can you explain a bit how it started out?
Yes, the first cooperative was created in the town of Mondragon, just north of Spain, close to Bilbao, in 1956. It was thanks to a priest that was born close to Bilbao that came to the town of Mondragon in 1941. So the first cooperative was not created in 1942, in 1943, but after years and years of education and years of activism. Because Arizmendiarreta came in 1941, that means 2 years after the end of the war, the Civil War. The society here was destroyed, not physically, because there were relatively few bombs here, but socially destroyed. And Arizmendiarreta is going to start working with young people to change, to transform the society. This was since 1941. In 1943, he's going to create a school, a vocational level school. So after years and years of training, education, and activism, in 1956, they set up a company that were owned by them, because they wanted to change the relation in the company. They wanted more human companies. They wanted to take the most important decisions of the company themselves. That was the cooperative that they created 65 years ago.
And so how did you go from one co-op to the hundreds that you were mentioning?
The thing is that they created this cooperative. This cooperative was successful, and they thought, well, this is a very important tool to change people's mind, and so they could act in a different way, and it's a good way to change the society, to transform the society. But it's not enough to create one cooperative. We need to create more and more cooperatives. So they didn't know about the law, they didn't know about other realities. Their main objective was to create cooperatives, so they started creating cooperatives, industrial cooperatives, agricultural cooperatives, fishing cooperatives, technological research centers, schools, housing cooperatives, all kinds of cooperatives. In our past, we were more than 100, and then some of them disappeared during different crises, and some of them merged, and today we are 96.
So it's true that you can be born, schooled, work, sleep in Mondragon world, basically, and do everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, because
Go ahead.
For example, I have 2 little children, and they are studying in a school that is a cooperative, and it is part of Mondragon. The school is open to everybody. It doesn't matter if I'm a member of a cooperative or not. And the price is the same price for everyone. It's not cheaper for me. And the school is from 0 years to 18 years. And then there is a university. And then we have companies. And then we have a cooperative that is a social security system, a private social security system. So we have a health insurance, and we have also a pension. It's complementary to the public system. So when I'm going to retire, I'm going to take part of my pension from Madrid. I'm going to get part of the pension from Madrid and part of the pension from our own system. The system is, the name of the cooperative is Lagunaro. If you want to check in internet, Lagunaro. So yes, there are many things here that cooperatives are involved, especially in this region, the region around the town of Mondragon.
And so, yes, let's talk about that geography expansion. How did and why did you go out of the Basque Country? I imagine first in Spain and then the first other countries where you started your activities?
Yes, so they created in 1956 a cooperative. This cooperative, the name of the cooperative was Ulgor. They invented the name because of their family names. Usatorre, Larrañaga, Goroñogoitia, Ormachea, Ortubal, Ulgor. And Ulgor was getting bigger and bigger, and they decided to split part of the business of Ulgor into new cooperatives. Okay, this was one way to create cooperatives. Another way was that in few months, they were famous in the Basque Country, and there were other promoters, other activists in the Basque Country that said, yes, I want to create a company, and I want to create a company similar that the cooperatives that have been created in the town of Mondragon. So they came to visit the founders of the first cooperative. They came to visit the priest, Alimediarrieta, the main founder, and well, in this interaction, they decided to create a cooperative, and this cooperative joined the group. So this was an important way to create cooperatives outside this region. And that was in the 50s, especially in the 60s and in the 70s. And then in the 80s, we started to go abroad, to create companies abroad, to be closer to our customers, not because we wanted to create cooperatives abroad, but because we wanted to be closer to the big customer, for example, car makers, and these companies outside Mondragon are not cooperatives.
So how do you handle that? The fact that your soul is a cooperative, you started out as a cooperative, and how do you collaborate with those other organizations that can also not be cooperative, as you're mentioning?
Yes, this is a contradiction. This is a contradiction that we feel. We are cooperatives here, and we are not cooperatives outside. But what's the problem? Okay, for example, we are in Querétaro, in Mexico, because our customer asked us to be there, close to the assembly plant. And we start working in Querétaro, in Mexico, and once the workshop is working fine, we decide to invite Mexican workers to be members. So we explain them what is a cooperative. We explain them that you are not going to work just 8 hours or 9 hours in this machine, but you are going to take decisions. You are going to read reports. Some decisions are not easy, are not popular. Some reports are not easy to understand, but we are going to train you. And to start being a member, you are going to put $5,000, for example. And the answer was, sorry, I have to put money to be member? No, thank you. So this is a big problem, no cooperative culture. And then there is another big problem, and it's the law. The law, there are countries with no cooperative law, for example, in China. There are countries with a very different cooperative law than the law that we have here. And so it is very difficult. We have converted into cooperatives some companies that we bought outside the Basque Country. We bought some companies in other parts of the Spanish state, and we converted into cooperatives. It was very difficult. For example, in Galicia, we had a company that we converted into a cooperative. So one thing that we did was to convince the trade union in that company to do the harakiri. They are going to disappear. We have no trade unions in our cooperative. So this is not easy. But what was more difficult was to change the law of that region, because the model that we had was not accepted by the law. So we convinced the lawmakers to change the law, and we converted this company into a cooperative, a mixed cooperative, because we must be creative. 49% of the power is in the hands of the workers of that factory, and 59% of the power is in the hands of the main cooperative here.
Okay. And but you were mentioning the fact that with the union, you don't have unions in your cooperatives?
They have no sense. Look, there is a General Assembly. This is an important day for you, and I'm very happy to take part in such an important day. We did our General Assembly, the General Assembly of the Mondragon headquarters last Friday. And so the General Assembly, once per year. If we do a General Assembly, a meeting once per year, it's not possible to run a group, a cooperative. So in the General Assembly, we decide who between us is going to manage the cooperative. And these people are going to compose what we call the Governing Council. The Governing Council. In the Governing Council, we vote for any person that we think that is a good person to be part of this body. Maybe it's not an expert on accountability, but it has a good criteria. And he's a good cooperativist, so they are part of this Governing Council. But as they don't know about management, they come here. I'm talking from the headquarters of Mondragon, from the facility that we use for training. I'm talking from Otalora building. This is a 14th century building, and this is our training center. So we invite members that have been elected to be part of the Governing Council to come here, and they have a course here for new members for the bodies. The Governing Council or the Social Council or the Oversight Committee, if they have been elected for these bodies, they come here to have a course. Then they have, after the course, well, they learn a lot, but they are not able to manage the cooperative. So the Governing Council is going to elect a person that is going to manage the cooperative. The Governing Council is going to elect a general manager. And the general manager is going to work full-time for the management of the cooperative. And he or she is going to elect her directors, marketing director, the personal or human resource director, production director. Okay, but then this is a cooperative. Communication is very, very important. So we have a special body. And the special body is the Social Council. The Social Council is not about power, it's not about hierarchy, but the Social Council is about communication. The Social Council is elected in a different way than the Governing Council is elected. For the Governing Council, I have the list of all the members of the cooperative. Me too, I'm in that list, and we vote. And it is possible that we have, imagine, 3 factories, and all of the members of the Governing Council are working in the same factory. Well, this is not so good for the communication of the workers. To avoid this, the Social Council is elected in each factory or each department or each section. That means that I'm going to have a member of the Social Council working close to me. And then the Social Council do 2 meetings per month. 1 meeting with the general manager and the president of the cooperative, the whole Social Council, with the president and the general manager. And the second meeting, each member of the Social Council with her department, what we call the Little Social Council. I'm working at the headquarters since 5 years ago, but before I was working in another cooperative, a technological research center, Ikerlan. And in Ikerlan, in my last period, my last years, I was member of the Social Council. So I had 2 meetings per month. 1 meeting, me and the rest of the members of the Social Council, with the president and the general manager of the cooperative, and the other meeting, me alone with my colleagues, the colleagues of my department, the Little Social Council. And in this Little Social Council, I explained to my colleagues the situation of the company. Once per month, a lot of information, a very big PowerPoint. And at the end of the meeting, I asked my colleagues, what are your problems? What are your questions, your suggestions? I took all these suggestions, ideas, questions. We, all of the members of the Social Council, we took all the questions, problems. We met the general manager and the president, and next month they had the answer. No need for trade unions.
Okay, so it's a mixture of direct votes and also representation at different levels, and so that's how you kind of manage to keep that vivid democracy alive, and also to keep all the issues on the ground, to bring them up and have an answer from the higher management. Is that I understand correctly?
Yes, the thing is that in our case, and this is since the beginning, we take all the members the most important decisions once per year in the General Assembly, or at least once per year, because the General Assembly is at least once per year. In that meeting, we vote and we take the most important decisions. But for the daily decisions, we don't vote. We have managers, supervisors. These managers and supervisors have been elected by the governing council that have been elected by all of us. So all of us, we elect the governing council, and they elect the directors and supervisors. That means that we don't do an assembly every day or every 2 days or every week to decide the operational issues of the cooperative. We just, well, this is very important, vote for the most important decisions in the General Assembly once per year. This is our democratical practice since the beginning.
And what have been the biggest challenges you've had since the beginning of Mondragon in terms of democracy in Mondragon? Or have there been any?
Yes, but you have already said that for smart, you are a kind of experimenting every day. This is also our case. And we call the Mondragon experience. It's an experience we are changing the way every step we are looking for the path. There is no, in my opinion, and for what I know, there is no something that was critical in terms of democracy in our history, because I think that the Social Council is present in our cooperative since the first cooperative. It's not an invention that came later, but the Social Council is crucial and is present since the first cooperative. And then, if we have big cooperatives, it's not the cooperative where I'm working, we are just 60 people, we don't have Social Council. In my previous cooperative, there is a Social Council, and I was part of the Social Council. In my previous cooperative, there are more or less 200 people, but we are 60 people. It's not difficult, the communication. And we do a General Assembly, but we also do, before the General Assembly, another meeting, all of us, to talk about the issues that we are going to vote in the General Assembly. So, more or less, 3-4 weeks before the General Assembly, we do another assembly to talk and to debate about the issues that we are going to vote. So if you are present in our General Assembly, you are going to say, oh, these people, they are very boring, because they just say, do you accept? The president says, do you accept this point? And people say, yes, yes. Why? Because we have debated previously. And if it is a small cooperative, it is enough. But if it is a big cooperative, this previous assembly is not just one. It's one per department or one per section. For example, Eroski. Eroski is the consumer cooperative, and they are working in many places, more than 1,000 supermarkets, and they are more or less 9,000 members. So they do more than 30 previous meetings before the General Assembly. And this is the way that we have to be aware of what is happening what is going to happen in the General Assembly. And then what is happening in the cooperative every month, the best way is the social council. And depending on the cooperative, there are other meetings.
You did a link in your presentation with training and education, linked to also the democratic and governance challenges. How did you set up? I've read a lot about your specific training systems, not only for your internal purpose, but also for other people who want to be inspired. Can you tell us more of how you've dealt with this training specific to the cooperative world, which is one of the principles of the cooperative world too?
Yeah, so I'm talking from Otalora. This is the training facility. Some of my colleagues, my job is to explain what is Mondragon outside Mondragon, or to the people that come from outside Mondragon. And some of my colleagues are doing the same, but explaining what is Mondragon to our people, to our colleagues. And the training facility is this building. So we have courses for new members. A member is not member since the first day, but I start working in a cooperative with a temporary contract. And the temporary contract is 1 year or 2 years. And when the temporary contract is going to finish, the cooperative is going to say something. The cooperative is going to say, Ander, we are sorry, the 31st of December is going to finish our relation because there is no more work for you. Okay, so the 31st of December, the relation is finished. Or the cooperative could say, Ander, we would like you to be members since the 1st of January. And I can say yes or I can say no. But in any case, I have been 1 or 2 years or more, depending on the cooperative, with a temporary contract. Once I am invited and I say yes to be member, I come to Otalora. Me, if it is a big cooperative, members of the same cooperative come to Otalora, or if it is a small cooperative, new members of different cooperatives come to Otalora, and they are going to have a course. So new members, then if I'm a member of a cooperative and I have been elected to be part of a body, of a social body, the governing council, social council, oversight committee, also I have a course here, specific course for social council members or governing council or oversight committee. And then we have other kind of courses. For example, we have a course to create, this is the idea, to create passionate cooperative members. This is the course that we call Expert on Cooperativism. And this course, we do it with the collaboration of our university. And it is an official course of the university with an official title, Expert on Cooperativism. We are in the 9th or 10th year, and we want to create in each cooperative 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 people that are passionate, that are very powerful cooperative people, because we are a kind of islands in a capitalist sea, so we have to remind constantly what are our values, why we are special. This is very important. And this is an important part of Otalora. And then Otalora is also training for our managers, training about negotiation, communication, creativity, positivity, all these kind of courses.
Creating passionate cooperators, that's great. I have a lot more questions, but I just want to remind everybody who's watching us that if you want to ask questions, don't hesitate to send it in the chat, either on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and I have a little earphone here, I don't know how you call it, and they will tell me your questions for Ander. So don't hesitate, we only have 20 minutes left, and there's still so much to talk about. So many questions. Perhaps maybe, since we're having only another 20 minutes left, COVID, 2020, 2021, strange years. How has Mondragon coped with this situation, and what were the challenges that you were facing, and how are you dealing with these?
Yes. We have had some cooperatives, few cooperatives that have been working much more, the agricultural cooperatives or the consumer cooperative. Some cooperatives, they have had the same amount of work, and many cooperatives, the industrial ones especially, much less work than the year before. It was in April last year, we had 9,000 people at home, 9,000 people at home, 9,000 members at home, because we have in our cooperatives, more or less in each cooperative, 80% of the workers are members and 20% of the workers have a temporary contract. If there is no work, temporary contract workers, they finish working with us and they have the unemployment subsidy of the Spanish government. But in our case, we have our own system. So 9,000 people at home, how it work? The mechanism is what we call the flexible calendar. And the thing is that in a period, maximum 6 months, I'm going to work less. And in the next period, maximum 6 months, I'm going to make up the time that I have lost in the first period. If it is not possible to make up all the hours, I'm going to get 80% of my salary. The cooperative that is our private social security system, Lagunaro, is going to pay me 80% of my salary. So we had last year 9,000 workers in this system. Most of the workers, most of the companies, they made up the time they lost in the first period. And the rest, well, every month, the regularization was to get 80% of the salary. This is the most important mechanism that we used last year. But there is another one that is important in this crisis and in all the crises that we have suffered, that is relocation of workers. I'm a member of a cooperative. The cooperative is part of Mondragon. If one day there is no work for me, I have the right to work in another cooperative of Mondragon. If there is no work for me in the corporation, I have the right to be trained, to be more employable. And if still there is no work for me in the corporation, I have the right to get an unemployment benefit for maximum 2 years. The thing is that in our history, since we started with this mechanism in 1965, no one person has extinguished this 2 years period of unemployment. So this is relocation of workers. Then what we do also is early retirement. So instead of retiring when I am 65 years old, 64, no, I can retire in a crisis period when I am 59 or 58. And Lagunaro, our private social security system, is going to help me with money for that. So we did this kind of mechanisms. Then, of course, we reduced our payments. If it was the case, we work more. In our case, for example, the salary in our case is more or less the average of the salaries of the cooperatives. Last year, we cut our salaries. And this year, we have risen again. Last year, we didn't have an interest because we have a capital. To be member, we have to put a capital, initial contribution, and this capital grows up or goes down, depending how is the year, accountability of the year. And we have to decide in the General Assembly if we are going to pay an interest to the capital or not. So last year, we had no interest, and this year we decided last Friday to have an interest. So it is about the group and it is about the cooperative. If it is about the cooperative, is work more and have less money. And if it is about the group, is relocation, is flexible calendar, is early retirement, for example.
Okay. I hear that there's a question arriving. Here it is. So somebody asks us, I didn't understand how the vote power are shared within the shareholders of the head co-op. Could you answer, please? So this is one of our people following us that is asking this.
It doesn't matter what cooperative. If I'm a member, I work in that cooperative, and I have one vote. Me, I have one vote. The general manager has one vote. The young boy or girl that is member since 1 month ago has one vote. And we use this vote in the General Assembly. It's very easy. We don't use the vote every day. I'm not going to decide voting if my place is going to be close to the window or not, or if I'm going to work in this machine or in another machine. No, this is a decision that has to be taken by the directors, supervisors, but I'm going to decide if we are going to vote for that, if we are going to set up a company in Argentina. This is an important decision. I'm going to vote for that. Or I'm going to vote what to do with the results of the year. If we have profits, how we are going to share the profits. I'm going to vote for that. I'm going to vote to decide if we are going to cut our salaries or not. And this is something that we do in the General Assembly. One member, one vote.
I think the question was also about the organization between the different levels. You were talking about the governing council, the social council also. I don't know, perhaps if it's possible, if you have a kind of a chart, maybe we can share it with our members, and we'll.
Yes, let me try.
That will maybe make it more visible.
Can you see this?
Not right now. I see.
This is the chart. Hey.
We don't see your screen share, unfortunately.
No?
No. But even if you can send it to us later, we can perhaps...
Yes,
I see a reflection. Okay, let's try again. Just try again. Maybe it's possible now for technical reasons. Try to share again,
yes.
Maybe?
One moment. What about now?
No. I guess it's technically not working. Okay. But otherwise, if you have one, maybe we can send them. We can.
The General Assembly, all the members, all of us, once per year. If we meet once per year, it's not possible to run the cooperative. So we are going to decide who between us is going to manage the cooperative. And we vote. Imagine 10 people in this cooperative. In another cooperative, it's a smaller cooperative, 5 people. In another one, 15 people. It depends on the size. And this is the governing council. Governing council. These people, they are not experts on management. One is a person that is working in a machine, another one is working in the workshop, another one knows about accountability, another one knows about Android, but not about management. So they are going to decide between them who is going to be the general manager. The general manager. And the general manager is going to elect her directors. Human resource director, production director, finance director. Then, very important in our cooperatives, the social council. Here, another kind of line. This is about hierarchy, about power. This is about communication, social council. I can be part, if I'm elected, I can be part of the I'm part of the General Assembly, I can be part of the Governing Council, I can be part of the Social Council. But to be part of the general management or the management team, I have to be a manager.
Thank you. That clears it up, I think. I hope that... okay, I hear that there's another question that is coming up. Okay. I'm not used to having somebody talking in my ears. So, actually I have to read it this time. What could be done to unify more the cooperative model at the worldwide level?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer. The thing is that now, for example, we are talking, experts are talking about inequality, economical inequality, and they are saying that we need another world, we need another system. And my impression is that they don't know about the cooperative model. So what we need first is these people and governors to know about this model. This is not, for example, the model of Mondragon, what I have explaining, is not that we are 4 people, we do our best and we ask for subsidies and we have some, well, I don't know, a small company and we are always surviving. No, these are competitive companies. And these are special companies where any person can be working. We don't need passionate people, just few people passionate, yes. We need normal people. These cooperatives are for normal people. 2 years ago, I had a visit from California, a cooperative from California. They are 50 people, and they said, in our case, we don't vote just in the General Assembly, but we vote every year. This is great. And in their case, the salary, in our case, the difference between the lowest payment and the highest payment is 1:6. 1:6. In the case of our competitors, is 1:86. In our case, is 1:6. But in the case of this cooperative of California, is 1:1. All of them, they have the same salary. Okay, the same salary, they vote every day. They are 50 people. They are super powerful, super passionate people. Great. In our case, the good news is that we are normal people. Normal people. It works with normal people. We don't vote every year, but we take the most important decisions between us. And we don't have the same salary, but the difference is a small difference. If we compare with other companies, it's much smaller. And the most important thing is not just normal people, but in the place that there are many cooperatives. For example, in this region, the region of the town of Mondragon, 60, not the town, but the region, 60,000 inhabitants. This region is usually the region in Spain with the lowest ratio of unemployment. This region is usually the region in Spain that invests more in research and development because we want to continue existing. And this region is usually the region in Spain that has the lowest economical inequality. If we measure economical inequality with the Gini index, one of the lowest in the world. The best countries are Sweden, Norway, Iceland. We are close to them. And in their case, they have a very important tax system. So inequality is created in the society, and they apply the tax system to share these profits between all of the citizens. So they act in a second moment. But in our case, the system acts from the first moment. From the first moment, thanks to what I have been saying, especially the 1:6 difference between salaries. And if you come one day here, you are going to see the quality of life here, very good quality of life. It is not about rich people, it is about rich societies.
That's a great message that we really need in these times of crisis. Thank you very much for showing that it's actually possible, especially on the long run. I have one more question that has been sent to me before I also want to ask you a last question. So the question that has been joined from our viewers is, what are the political relations with the local and also the national authorities facing such a big cooperative company? Very powerful? Is there defiance or partnership, suspicious looks, or full support and rerun with you?
There are many cooperative groups around the world that they take part politically. For example, in Catalonia, yes? But it's not our case. In our case, since the beginning, we said, and it is one of our principles, you can check in our webpage, one of our principles is neutrality. We don't take part. And then, apart from that, we have very good relation with all the governments, the town's government, the regional, the Spanish, European, because what they want, what the governors want, they want to create wellness, they want to create jobs, and this is what we are doing. So we have good relation with every political party and every governor. But we don't say anything about we are, I don't know, supporting this government or supporting this political party. It has no sense, because if it is not easy to take decisions about management in the General Assembly, how are we going to take a decision about to support this political party or another political party? Me and my colleagues, we have different ideas. So it is enough to take decisions about entrepreneurial or management issues.
And it is, though, a cooperative model is a political model in itself, even though it doesn't have an affiliation to a political party. But it's, as you were saying, we're living in a sea of capitalism, so it is kind of a political object too, I believe, but maybe...
Yes, sometimes we have some visitors from the United States, and they say, but what are you? Are you communist or are you, I don't know, socialist? And I say, I don't care. If you ask my colleagues, yes, 81,000, 99% of my colleagues are going to say, I don't know, and I don't care. This is what we are. What I'm explaining, this is what we are, 99%. And 1% of my colleagues are going to say, well, this is a kind of socialism, this is a kind of soft capitalism, this is a domesticated capitalism. These 1% are professors of the university. Yes.
And speaking of professor of university, I wanted to ask you about this, but unfortunately we won't have enough time. But I just wanted to remind everybody who's following us that Mondragon is also, like Smart, a strong supporter of the platform co-op movement. And I know that you're working also on a special university with Trevor Schultz. And we think that's a very interesting aspect also, and a lot of future for the cooperative world and that movement. But the last question that I received and that I want to share with you before we unfortunately have to stop the conversation here, at least for now, is do you think that tomorrow will be more or less cooperative?
Sorry, do you think?
Do you think that tomorrow, the future, will be more or less cooperative?
Well, I think it is going to, the world is going to be more cooperative. Yes, the future has to be more cooperative. If we are aware that inequality is growing, my opinion is that this is the best option, real option. This is about real cooperativism. I'm going to send you a document you can share with all of you. And in this document, there is a slide that is about our principles, the 10 principles of Mondragon. I can be talking about the principles explicitly, and the principles are here, yes? But I usually talk about the reality, and the reality is here. So I talk about the principles from the reality, and the reality is here. Principles written are here, and the reality is here. There is a gap between what we are and what we would like to be. There are many, many contradictions. many, many contradictions. But there is another gap between what we are and the rest of the companies, or most of the rest of the companies. And this gap allows us to have this society, this quality of life. We are made by normal people. If we were this Californian 50 super passionate people, we will be here. But the good news is that we are thousands and thousands of normal people. And there is a gap between what we are and here the rest of the companies. This is a good news.
Indeed. And we surely hope that the world will be more cooperative in the future, and we clearly think that that's what's necessary for the world today. Thank you so much, Ander, for this conversation. I could go on for hours. I still have so many questions. Maybe we can invite you again another General Assembly, and maybe we can continue in other circumstances. Thank you so, so much. We will be sharing the documents you were talking to us about. As for everybody else, and if you want to follow our General Assembly, you're most welcome, of course. At 3:30, in about half an hour, our formal General Assembly will start. Don't forget to join, and especially don't forget to vote. It's very important for all of us. Thank you so much for following us. Yes, you wanted to say one more thing?
Okay, the next time in Belgium, because when I was an Erasmus student, I was living in Belgium 6 months, in Louvain-la-Neuve, and I was very happy. So next time in Belgium, and you are also invited to come here and to visit our facilities, our region, our cooperatives, and our people.
Oh, I hope I can do that soon. We'll see what happens with all this COVID and traveling. I would love that. Thank you very much. You're most welcome here. Bye. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.